Hey, we're running live. We're running live, buddy. Hello, welcome.
Hey, how you doing? Where's our intro? Do we not have an intro?
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the final episode of this year. No, because I set this up, bud. You were gone. You were busy having fun, and I didn't set us up an intro. So,
Okay.
so
I was waiting for the intro to get started.
Go ahead, throw up the intro, and guys, we'll be right back in just a couple seconds. We'll be checking out and talking all things hockey here tonight with you guys. Cheers.
Welcome back, everyone, to Two Guys in Hockey Talk Season 7 finale. Aaron's joining in. Hello, Aaron. Happy Free Agency Boxing Day. It's been a ring-a-ding-dong dandy for us tonight, which we say at the end of the show. But, Evan, how you doing?
Well, you're just talking about the end of the show. Hey, Aaron, buddy. Great to see you. It's about time you made it for the final show of the year, bud.
Most important time.
It's the most important time because, like you said, free agency, Boxing Day. Man, even our intro. So if you guys caught the beginning of our show, we weren't even ready. I was throwing this up last second. We're all over. Life has been going crazy. It's like a Boxing Day for all of our personal lives coming in. And then we even threw up our season 6 when you threw up the last piece. And I'm like, what? So
I've been in a bit of a disarray, but it's understandable. But
so what's funny. If anyone's joined, we'll talk a little bit later about the NHL entry draft 2026. I did the live draft with everybody. So you guys got about a little over an hour and a half into it, and then boom, everything went down. And then I had to come back on. We had over 450 live people following within the first hour. It was running excellent, doing well. We got shut down for some of the stuff. They didn't like I played some Sportsnet content that they had pre-built. So YouTube shut us down for a temporary little period of time. So it's been a crazy. And guys, this is a Thursday edition. So anyway, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So how are you? How are you?
Well, as you know, we had a little bit of a conversation off air. I was away at a wedding in Kelowna, as people could tell when I was connecting with you guys on the show for the draft day out of Revelstoke. So I just want to applaud my colleague here, Evan, who rolled the dice. He was our very own Sam Constantino, who just rolled the dice on all the prospects and where they're going to go, the highlights and the lows. I had low service, low battery, and I was with my kiddos. It was a good wedding, but it was a little hard to get into it. To be fair, Evan, I was invited to this wedding last minute, so I applaud the couple, Sophie and Josh, but it was kind of last minute, so I just ended up going there for the yummy wine, which was good, but I'm glad to be back for the final episode. It's been a hell of a season, lots of highs, lots of lows, and I I'm happy to wrap up because I got to be honest, driving home, my phone was blowing up. There was so much happening in the NHL that as Zilstra knows, I love my NHL talk, and we're gonna get right into it. But it
Oh,
was a
man.
lot.
Hey,
But
can I just say this? It's right now. It is a beautiful to be back behind the bench one last time with you, baby. Listen, I am
yes,
buzzing. I am buzzing right now, and I'm not going to lie to our, and I'm going to call them Two Guys Nation. This is I think that should be what we call our crew, right? The Two Guys Nation. And my body's still recovering from that grueling marathon of you said that 3 hour live draft show that we put on last Friday. But there is zero time to rest in this league because less than 24 hours later, the clock struck midnight. Free agent frenzy exploded yesterday. We're going to talk about, and the entire NHL landscape completely fractured right before our eyes. And if guys, if you've seen our brand new banner for the season, you already know the phone has been shaking. It's been shaking, as he said. It was crazy. I got some apologies to make tonight to people. No, not to you, Timo, but some other people. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different signings. Now, I want people to recognize right below before Bell gets us started off here. We have a tracker. Hopefully, this should help some of the different stuff you guys can see. We are showing all the teams throughout. We're not going to cover every single. There's just way too much. But we're going to cover the main ones. And if you guys have some specifics you want to talk about, let us know in the chat and we'll be sure to get it out. So, and then pump this out and share this out. And we'll talk about some a little bit more things later on here. So my notebook is bursting at the seams, buddy. I got some hot takes loaded up for a whole bunch here tonight. Absolutely big
right.
one.
Let's get to some of the big ones that came out. Sergei Bobrovsky is a Toronto Maple Leaf. Your thoughts on this signing? 3 years, $7 million a year.
So the news was that they wanted $7 million is what he wanted in Florida. They trade for Markstrom. They let him walk. Markstrom is not at all guaranteed to show he's a playoff performer.
Along with Schmidt, Akira Schmidt.
Akira Schmidt, who also was from Jersey. Now, he was in Vegas, but he was from Jersey originally. If you guys remember their playoff run a couple of years ago. And I found this one kind of interesting because the tax-free in Florida, like, could he not gone to 6 and took the same as Mark? Or were they not willing to pay him? Like, so something tells me, is there something they don't think he's getting his game back? So I don't know, man.
I think they were willing to go as far as they did with the Brad Marchand contract, and I think they're at the point where they wanted to go a different direction. Now, Markstrom was drafted by Florida originally, if people remember, so he does have some history there. But I do believe that, this was interesting. I think for Toronto, it's a big gamble. I'm not saying he can't come in and compete, but when they trade away, I think it was Dennis Hildeby to Tampa Bay for, I believe it was Nick Paul amongst some other picks. I think the problem here is that you're banking on him and Stolars, who won the Cup back in 2024 versus the Oilers, to bring it back around. Although I don't believe that Toronto is in a position to potentially be a Stanley Cup contender. This does elevate them, but I really worry about the health of a 38-year-old goalie who will be 38 come the start of the season. So interesting take. I know Bobrovsky's a pro. He really takes care of his body, but for Toronto, for John Chaika and Matt Sundin, this is a big gamble. And getting rid of your prospect now, I think it's Asimov, who's their other prospect who just won the Cup, called their Cup with the money. I think that was, you could have brought him up the ranks. I think that's good veteranship, but I don't know if this is going to pay off. And I worry that I think this year they're all in for Austin Matthews, but I don't know if it's going to pay off in the long run. It'll be interesting to see. But the other
this is kind of interesting, though. If you think about Bobrovsky, he went to a Canadian team, which a lot of people did not think, and especially because Toronto with the mix. But, excuse me, it tells me that were they one of the few teams that were willing to pay the money he wanted? Or were they a team he felt with he has a chance of competing with?
I think it's both. I think he believes he can compete and be effective. He is a pro. He's won at every level. You know what I've thought of Bobrovsky. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I really believe that he believes he can win. He does very good regiment for himself, and he really keeps his body up to date to making sure that he has the best and he is the most effective both on and off the ice. So I really believe that he will be effective. But again, I think this is a good gamble if it pays off. Although I don't know in the difficult Atlantic division that we're seeing, I don't know how effective Toronto is going to be, and if they can get past whether it's the Florida Panthers, whether it's the surging Buffalo Sabres or Montreal Canadiens, or whether it is Tampa Bay who's going to be knocking at the door. Who is it that they have to beat out? That's a lot to get through, and then let alone if you can get through them, can you get through the Metro? Can you get through a Carolina?
Speaking of that, there was an interview for people. They just saw it. It just came out. Gavin McKenna was asked. He wears number 72, for those that don't know. I am excited about him coming and taking a very unique number because he's as close to generational. I mean, Macklin Celebrini was not called generational coming in. Close, but not there. And I'd say McKenna is around that same level for me. Generational hockey IQ and skill, but we just don't know if he can put it together because of his frame. That's the big piece. So what's interesting, though, is I actually think Bobrovsky. Now, I'm on the other end of this. I'm tired of the veterans getting it up. I mean, he came in last minute. They just drafted a future. This guy's going to be there a couple of years. I have a feeling Bobrovsky's going to get the number. They're going to give something to McKenna, and then when Bobrovsky's done, McKenna gets his 72 back, which I don't like because I think he needs to have 72, period, and it's a number that will be very unique. I know you might have a different take.
No, I think that would be close to what I believe. It's hard to kind of pinpoint. Yeah, like I don't know. You'd have to get back to me on that one. Zilstra says, "Come on, Pops, you praised Mike Smith that he was over 40." Yeah, but Mike Smith had never won at the level that Sergei Bobrovsky has won. Sergei has 2 Stanley Cups. He's got a few Vezinas, if not alone, many acolytes.
Yeah, 2 and one nominee too, right?
Yeah, and so like he's a little bit elevated. Plus, Mike Smith was a battler, and I did like Mike Smith, but he also made some boneheaded mistakes. And I know he liked to move the puck. He played like a 6th player on the ice, but that sometimes was to the detriment of the Edmonton Oilers. If you recall that series, Edmonton, Mike Smith versus the Calgary Flames, where they scored on him because Rasmus Anderson actually scored, and we'll get into his later. So we won't spend too much time here. Toronto did some other moves, which we'll get into. But the other one I wanted to talk to you about is Ovi is back for one more year with the Washington Capitals for a technically $4.25 million cap hit, but it's going to come up to $9 million with all the bonuses that are included into it. Your thoughts on Ovi returning to an already pretty good team with Alex Tuch and Jordan Kyrou coming in?
The competition between Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin for what they get, how long they stay, it's like they keep trying to compete against each other, where he takes this massive contract that he's very deserving of a much higher contract. Let's face it, right? He could demand to do a 1 year anywhere. People would pay him $10 million this year easily still at his age for the goals that he can. Like I'm going to say right now, he's producing another 30 goals in his final season, buddy.
Where did he have last year? 26, 27 goals, something like that? So, yeah.
Yeah. They have a better team now, too, though, right? Yeah. And how about this? Darren Dreger makes a report. It's likely he retires, and literally he's in the middle of signing his contract. What's going on with the insiders?
Yeah, they're not very insightful. This is why, guys, you come to us because we give you the facts.
Well, this is what I tell people, right? They say, well, how do you know this stuff? I trust these guys. It's like, listen, I'm going to tell you, check these insiders out, especially in the summer when there's nothing going on. They're coming up with ideas. You're probably going to hear about Sidney Crosby going to play with McKinnon or something like this all over again. They're going to come up with little pieces of certain players. And none of it's even close to being remotely true. So yeah, no, I'm not saying that we always have it. And I would like to put this out. I think this season, most of the information that we have put out, we could go back on a lot of our shows. And I would say this, Pavel, I think we can go back on our shows and the stuff we have put out we have been over 80% on most of the information that we got. So something interesting. I know it's saying it passed. I have some local connections here that I don't share a lot. So a lot of you Oilers fans, sometimes you want to ask for information. Because I live in Edmonton, I don't want to draw connections where information comes from or how it comes. So, and you know how this goes, Pawel. We're quiet sometimes till later. I actually knew all about the Sharks. I knew what was happening early on. I knew about the full salary. I knew all that stuff. And I shared it with some people locally. And because I have some new connections down in San Jose. And I don't know if I can trust them. Everything's been right in the past. They were really good last year, but they're pretty positive this will happen. And they're going to wait it out. They will wait it out. You know, there was that whole thing about Boston coming out from Dagnata fourth period, they didn't do the deal because of that. I've been told that that's not actually fully accurate. It was a discussion. It wasn't actually a done deal, and they backed out. So, but I can just say this: when it comes to the local stuff, Pawel, I'm less to put stuff out there about Edmonton than I am other places that we have the connections with. So.
Awesome. And on that note, another team in the Atlantic that got a little bit more help is the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have signed John Carlson for a 2-year, $17 million contract worth $8.5 million AAV. He's a former 2018 Stanley Cup champion with, of course, Alex Ovechkin, but also played for Anaheim last year and clearly didn't want to resign. And we'll get into Anaheim because they've lost quite a few bodies on the back end. But what do you make of this for the Tampa Bay Lightning and John Carlson coming in? Because he can still play very well. He's a pro. He keeps himself in peak condition. I thought that there would be a potential reunion with Washington after the trade, but clearly it didn't work. And good for Washington for getting a few of those high picks. I think it was a first rounder for Carlson.
So a couple things here for me, and I apologize, half my face is in black here. I'm just using some notes. I'll give you a little bit of highlight on my right side. I got a couple, marks that I got hit a few times from the last draft show. When the wife was smacking me a few times. Just joking, guys. Nothing's happening. There's no abuse. But yeah, so the Carlson thing. So number one, if you check out our boy Jim Behringer's filled in about 4 times this year, full press hockey. Go check him out, guys. But some of his stuff, he had apparently had reported and said that they offered him this kind of money in Washington. And he chose to walk away. Even though he was shocked, he walked away, which I found kind of funny because I know that was true. He was shocked. But it feels like the Rantanen situation where Rantanen was like, no, I'd take less. But all the reports came in that they moved on in Colorado. And I think they moved on there as well. So I knew because of what had happened, there was no reunion again happening. They had moved on from that. But that was a little bit hard on Ovi because Ovi and John were like best friends on that team, right? That was totally a solid relationship that you can say with it. So John Carlson, I think that this is a fabulous deal. It's the right place to be, I think, for him. 2 years, perfect. I think he still got it in him. I still see a 55 to 70 point season depending on how the season goes. And that team seems to keep finding a way to bring a player in here or there and keep plugging away. Their GM knows what he's doing.
100%. And we get a question from the YouTube chat. Thoughts on the Dobis staying in Montreal? So staying into the Atlantic, Jakob Dobis re-signs and extends with Montreal Canadiens to a 3-year, $16.7 million extension, so 5.36 AAV after a great breakout season, winning 29 games this year and helping him reach the Eastern Conference Finals. And of course, it was exciting to watch after that series with Buffalo. And this kid is young. He's dynamic. You see him. He's passionate. He gets in your face. He's like a young Mike Smith in terms of his enthusiasm for the game. But your thoughts on Dobis staying with Montreal? Because I would say that Montreal is probably one of the best, similar to Carolina, cap-managed teams in the current NHL, and it won't be long before we see Montreal potentially in a Stanley Cup final. Go ahead.
I don't like the number for actually being so young and so early on. That's why I don't. That's a big risk for a goaltender. That's not that well proven. You see runs that you get, even like Binnington, right? Great rookie season, comes in, does well. Of course, they end up getting their pay. And so good on him. I think it's sometimes a good bet, though, if, like you said, Montreal's got all these great players that they're signing in early. And even if they have one or two bad signings that don't pan out with these guys, I have not been big on it. But, hey, the whole free agency world has just set the salary cap with the increases. Crazy. Just crazy right now. I want to come to that a little bit later to kind of help people see around the salary cap, what's acceptable. Because Pawel, you and I have had this piece where I'm the one complaining about the price and thinking they're too highly paid, and you're like supporting it. I don't think it's bad. I'd like to come back a little bit later in the show, maybe in about another 15, 20 minutes, because I actually want to talk about the way to tell that it actually is a good contract. Not based on what I used to do, but what I realize we need to do now. And I'll give you a comparison of a couple different players that was put out there a little bit later on here today. So,
all right. Well, we'll get into that, and we have a few comments. JJ Oilers says the Oilers did really well. Have to shout out Stan Bowman and the manager group. Agreed. We're going to get into that in just a bit.
Can I ask him a question before we end? So, JJ, my question is, did you write any posts? Did you go on? Did you talk to any friends, any family? And were you talking about how Stan Bowman is the most useless general manager when nothing had happened before Devin Levi, and then maybe even Devin Levi? I'd like to know what you actually are thinking at that point before Stan Bowman makes all these big deals and Nurses moved out. Just like to know your thoughts, JJ.
All right. And Zilcher says Nurse deal is almost normal now too. I mean, it is for the Sharks, and we'll get into it what it is. But before we jump over to the West, I just wanted to get one more other big name in the East that was signed, and that was Boone Jenner, who had left, the captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets. And there's a whole thing we'll get into quickly with Zach Werenski, but he goes over to the Washington Capitals for a 4-year, $23 million contract, 5.75. He's a two-way center. And he brings leadership, physicality, strong face-up ability at 52.6% last season. So he's a reliable middle six player. I mean, you're really good down the middle, and you're really going to give Carolina a run for their money. I'm not saying they're going to win, and I'm not saying this is the full roster, but good for Washington for what they've been able to do. Your thoughts on this signing for the Washington Capitals?
I think this was a good signing for Washington. I'm cool on this one from a fan perspective. I think that the mix is good. They have a lot of good veterans in there that mixed in with some of the younger guys. I am not as big on people right now. I know Jason Demers, guys, he's a former defenseman, he's an NHL analyst. Him and I have been back a little bit on X. I actually don't. They're missing a number one center. We talked about that last week, actually, with Dylan Strome for me. And
Dylan Strome,
well, Dylan is a 2, maybe. A 3 on a cup team. That's in my opinion. Even though he's ahead of, I just don't see him having the same kind of year again. And Dubois is a number 2, essentially, is what he is. But they also don't have a number 1 defenseman. And I'm tired of people saying Jacob Chikrin is. Yeah. I got some of you guys arguing that Jacob Chikrin has found a way to reinvent himself. Wonderful player. I was supportive of him. I had him high in my drafts in the year. Right in the right place, but he's found a way to play well in their system, but he is not a number 1. And I think they'll make the playoffs. I really do, but I don't think they're going to make much noise unless something happens. Like some of your players have a career year, and that's got to be at center, in my opinion. And they can make a big splash, maybe, or something at that point in time. Go ahead. You finish this off on Washington, and then I want to give you a little bit of what I heard about something about Boone Jenner and another possible team before we wrap.
For sure. So what I think for Washington is I like their forward group. They have some good players up front with Ovi now, Boone Jenner. Although Boone Jenner does tend to get injured, so that's my only worry for him. I do like, the Proidus brothers there. You have Alex Tuck and Jordan Kyrou, so they're a little faster. My fear with like you indicated, is the back end. When you have Jacob Chikrin, Matt Roy, Martin Ferivari, Vincent Desharnais, who also signed a big contract of $16.8 million and a value of AAV of $4.2 million as your top 4, I'm a little hesitant about that. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. Take the money. And you know what? A lot of credit for Vinny's development goes back to Jay Woodcroft because he helped him develop. He was a 7th-round pick, and he really helped him elevate his game. So good for him. But when you have Rasmus Sandin, who is supposed to be projected as a top 4 defenseman, and Timothy Liljegren, and we all know how they did in Toronto and struggled, that's where I think there's a bit of question marks. So I don't know if Washington is going to sit on their hands or they're going to look at upgrading their defense a little bit more. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I think that's where their weakness is. I like their goaltending. They're pretty much set in it with Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren. But yeah, you got to improve the defense. Go ahead about Boone Jenner.
So by the way, I think this, and Zill, I know you used to be a major fan. I know you like Ovi, but Zilstra Lost Trucker is actually mentioned in times past. Like this used to be her love back in, especially in the 80s and stuff, around Minnesota and Washington, right? They were the teams going back to the Dale Hunter years and Scott Stevens and all them. But if I can say this, I think this is one of the worst defenses. They have always been known notoriously as a team with good defense. Yeah, exactly. And so that's my worry. And I feel like their GM knows that. And I actually expect something to happen. This is just my gut right now. That's all this is. I expect something to happen. I can't see them being good with staying there unless they consider this a rebuild year. But I think that they promised Ovi we're going for it this year, so that should be a bigger push. So, I
will say there, I don't know any truth to this, but I wonder if they were potentially interested in Darren Radish, who went over to Toronto, because he would have probably fit that bill as their top guy. But of course, Toronto quickly traded for him because I know his services were going to be quickly demanded. All right, let's get into the Boone Jenner.
Before I hit Boone, so I actually did have some conversations with a couple of the media members that are local, close. One's a writer, and one actually is works on some of their television broadcasts. And actually, they said they had deep interest. I don't know what happened for negotiations or if there's numbers or anything like that. So interesting. I don't even know what their cap is. So if some of you are out there, check out Puckpedia, find out what their cap is if you want to be able to see and you want to talk more. For Boone Jenner, this is one of the things. So just a heads up. For Washington, yeah. It's
coming up right now. They have 975,000 left.
That's why
they dead cap space, but 975. So they're pretty much.
So they wouldn't be able to make some of the forward moves, and they weren't as strong up front. So they're finding a way to build it. Right now, they need some of the other guys. They're new, like they need Leonard, to Ryan Leonard to really have a good year. They need to see some of these guys on these elite level contracts so they can start loading up in the back end. With it. And that's why they only had so much cap space, obviously, for Ovi, and said, this is what we got, Ovi. And Ovi goes, give me one more year. That's not very, it sounds more like a pirate, but okay, Boone Jenner, a little interesting tidbit. I actually trust this piece, this bit of information. So for people that may be Oiler fans, there was a lot of talk around a veteran like him could be good on a team that's making a push for the Stanley Cup. And that some of that money could be good, and maybe he could even be a potential player to play with Draisaitl or McDavid, or even with the two of them, or in there, just because of his veteran presence, his size, everything that he brings. So this is what I have been told, and let's just say I trust this source 100%. They did not even make an attempt, and the reason is we were not going to go there. Yes, from all accord. Remember Columbus, when Mike Babcock left, Boone Jenner's the captain. Babcock is let go. He supported Babcock. So a lot of people thought, my understanding is Edmonton did not want to put the highlight, even though the two have a good relationship, and even pursue that. And they decided to pull away when they picked Babcock, that they would not pursue Boone Jenner. And like I said, this is probably a source that I have been fortunate to have, and they didn't tell me in every single word that's exactly what happened, but that's what it sounds like. So I trust this source.
Awesome. And before we jump over to the West with some of the other information, there's two things I wanted to quickly get your thoughts on, because we don't see these things often. And one is, we've seen all the trades with Brady Tkachuk. We've seen the rumblings with Dylan Larkin, but it sounds now like the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to be sitting down with Zach Werenski. any thoughts on what's been going on here? Because clearly this American group chat with the team that won gold medal this past year is getting a lot of these players, including Berensky, who's indicated that he may not re-sign, so he may stay and play out his contract. Looks like he may be leaving. And that on top of that, there's now talks of Kirill Marchenko potentially being out there. And I know Montreal is very much interested in him. Your thoughts on this whole dynamic?
So the best one, if you guys remember Mark Shegg, we had him on our show last season. Or did we have him at the beginning of this year? Guys, I can't remember some of the guests that we have on, especially load up heavy in the first half. So had some conversations with Mark. He's one of the local beat writers, knows a lot of the information. And then someone else local that kind of works around the team and within the arena. And it sounds like this is, number one, the information that kind of got out there. Yes, they had conversations. Did he want another team? It sounds like he actually did not specifically ask for a trade. He just said, let's see how the seasons go. Media took this and they ran with a little bit of something that they got for information. It got pushed. There was a misunderstanding from everything out there. The management's like, well, let's look at some options. And then they took it back and a leak came out about that. Was the Dallas thing was supposed to be quiet because now it's made a mess for Harley over in Dallas that there's even the remote possibility that they would have even offered him in a trade. I mean, let's face it, if you're Harley, you shouldn't be complaining because you just were potentially going to be asked to be traded for the best, considered the best. Not that I think he's the best. I think he's like the third, fourth best this last year. But I digress.
I think it'd be a big loss for the team, but I think ever since, Zilstra says Columbus on the rise and Goudreau's chest, I think it took a pull. I agree. And it was a very emotional year that year where they just missed the playoffs. I like the team. I like what's been going on. But I really think like they just, those fans are very resilient. I applaud Columbus fans because they've gone through so much. I mean, they do bring in Nichushkin, which is a good pickup. And I do hope that he succeeds there, which helps, especially with that Russian side for Kirill Marchenko. And you do have some young prospects, right? But you need more from Kent Johnson, from Connor Garland, who's coming over and starting up his new contract this year after signing first in Vancouver and then moving over. And Cole Sillinger, right? Like, are you getting more out of him? So it'll be interesting to see. I do see Kirill Marchenko moving. I don't know if it will be by the end of the summer or by the end of the trade deadline, but expect him to be potentially moved for something. Most likely Columbus would want picks, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So we'll see how it goes.
Can I just say this with Columbus? I like to throw this out for all the fans. I actually, my heart actually did. Oh, did I freeze?
No, you're good.
Okay. I saw myself.
Columbus.
Okay. So when Zil mentioned about Columbus, my heart goes out when I actually hear about the Goudreau thing still. It just it's like, oh. I know this happens in life and people pass and there's accidents and things. But it set I think they've done a great job. But it goes out to the fans also, though, for have been there for so long and they've been so close and all this stuff. And so one of the things that could you imagine? They have not had a lot of luck when it comes to drafting and getting they're not even close, it seems, in the draws, in the lottery draws and stuff like that. And what if they had got Gavin McKinnon or even Ivor Stenberg? What if they had got? So Columbus, you're that close away when you actually are just that close. You know, it's always possible. Toronto got him. I mean, Toronto has one bad year and misses the playoffs. They get Austin Matthews. Toronto misses now after many years. They miss the playoffs and have a bad season. And again, they should not be close to getting a lottery, and they get another lottery. So you are that close to getting McKenna, and that I think that's what they're away from. They need this star to come out of nowhere. And my concern for the fans is, I'm going to tell you, I don't think Caden Lindstrom, as much as I loved him, I don't think he's ever recovered from his injury. I saw his skating recently in the offseason, some of his training. He's looking like a skater who's coming back from an injury still. He didn't have a good year this last season either. And I actually don't know if it's a story. It would be a feel good for Columbus, but they need a break, buddy. They need a break, bro.
I agree with you. I think it would be good. We'll see how it happens next year's draft, but they could definitely use a Landon DuPont. That would be something that would be very beneficial if you are losing Berensky. And Zolstra says the Olympic gold players sure awfully got ego proud. Feels like they all decided to good for their present teams. I mean, there's a lot happening because of that chat, and it's changing the dynamics. But we'll see how it proceeds. Now, before we jump over to the West and a few other trades, let's get into a little bit of around the rink. Around the Ring brought to you by Flow Hockey. You want to get some great youthful action of hockey content? Go check out Flow Hockey. All right, Evan. I know you have some stuff. I have nothing this week for Around the Rink, but I know you wanted to catch up on a few things.
Yeah. So guys, really interesting for people that are passionate about hockey and really excited. And our good man and also former guest several times on our show and stand in and helped us actually establish you guys in Hockey Talk, Jordan Robert. So he actually loves the WHL, if you guys did not know that. And and interesting enough, this year they've just passed. The WHL is implementing in their preseason, and the plan is regular season, but they need to check it out in the preseason. They are implementing in the so just a little help before I mention this, if you don't know this. So the WHL, there's 3 leagues under an umbrella called the Canadian Hockey League. The WHL in the Western Canada and some of the Northwestern United States. Then you have the Ontario Hockey League, so essentially goes Manitoba all the way over. And then you have the Ontario Hockey League with some teams in kind of northern mid-east, I guess you would call that, like in Detroit area and north. That's where you can get into Erie and stuff. Anyway, and then you have the Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League, and then also have some teams coming in. So the WHL is implementing, and I don't know if you heard this, buddy. What do you think if the NHL adopted this too? They are going to 3-on-3 overtime where you cannot leave outside of center ice. If you go back into I think it's center ice or is it your own blue line? You can only go back. You cannot circle back and protect the puck. So if you do, you will lose possession. They'll whistle it down, and it'll be in your end taking a face-off in the defensive zone against you. So I'm actually excited, and I actually think this is something that the NHL, I wonder if there's been talk that this could be a way to sample it, but not at the pro level of AHL yet. Thoughts?
I mean, I like it when the game evolves and changes. I like to see something different and unique. And if the NHL believes that this makes the game a little bit better, a little bit more entertaining, then I'm all for it.
Okay. So,
and Zilster says center ice.
Is it center ice? Thank you, Zil. Yeah. So everyone knows Zil is like, I actually think that we could start Zil's top 30 too, around there, because she is getting. So she and we talked about this whole segment is by Flow Hockey. So Zil has Flow Hockey, follows lots. I think Zil, you might be definitely watching more Flow Hockey than I am. So remember, I need your takes. I need your takes. So go ahead.
Oh no, she just had a question. When was the last time a number 1 draft gets to play on a team potentially gunning for a cup, not just the playoffs?
Yeah, going back to Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I think we have.
I think it was Boston with Tyler Seguin, wasn't it? In his first year, he won a cup, but he was a second overall pick.
But he was. That was the pick that was a traded pick, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't because of the So was that rookie year, or was that?
Yeah, that was his rookie year. I believe he won in what's it called? He got drafted. Yeah, he won the first year he was drafted by Boston.
Hang on. No. She said number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was Taylor Hall. I mean, Tyler Seguin almost became.
Yeah. I mean, it was the discussion debate at the time was Taylor versus Tyler.
So, hey, JJ, I see that you got some comments. We'll bring them back when we come back out from around the rink. And so just so you know, just hold on. We're going to come to your piece here. So something else about the United States Hockey League I'd just like to make mention of as well. is in the United States, one of the things that they have is they can't get on charters. And by the way, even the WHL, that's a new rule that they're just putting in. They'll be able to charter certain flights that are in the eastern part of the Western Hockey League. And they can do a certain amount of flights per year. I don't have all my information handy, guys. I had so much in prepping here tonight. And to be honest with you, I was exhausted. I spent over 15 hours of prep for the draft last Friday. And then I was so busy. We're family celebrating on Canada Day. I'm trying to get out stuff. I got everybody sending stuff to me, and I was trying to correspond with people around it. But anyway, the United States Hockey League does not allow air travel. That's another piece. But now with the Western Conference teams and setting this up, they are now making some changes. All the details are not in. So if you're following in the USHL, I am telling you that there will be some travel. I don't know how they're financially going to be able to afford some of this, but that is also something that is coming up. So, but guys, not lots around the rink that I have as far as a lot of stuff going on around the world, because again, it's been really busy, NHL dominant. And we have a little bit of Revs Top 15. We'll do a little bit later before we go. Yeah, so that's it for me, unless you got something else that you were thinking of quickly before we jump back.
That has been Around the Rink. All right, let's get into JJ's thing. So the Oilers made some big moves, and he's talking about potentially top 6, who could potentially be a fit. But before we get into it, one of the big trades of the day, which was shocking to a lot of hockey fans across the hockey world, was Darnell Nurse becoming a San Jose Shark. Now, originally, he only had 3 teams on his list: Philadelphia, Boston, and Pittsburgh.
Yes.
But I guess management and Bowman asked Nurse to expand on that list, and San Jose was very interested, and it looks like he is now with the full cap salary going over in exchange for some prospects from the San Jose Sharks. Your thoughts on this move for the Oilers and the San Jose Sharks?
I know this is probably because you're weak. You kind of had like our live draft off, but did you say it looks like or it is?
I said it looks like.
You know it's already done. What are you talking about? I know it was just because of the word that you said. Yes, we'll get to that. We'll talk, guys. We'll go over to San Jose after Edmonton. We'll do that, Zil. I see your comment. And Zil, I'm going to be sending you a text. I have an incredible, cool picture that I found. It was on the web of Harmonov with the management team. So with the picture and seeing how big he was, we'll talk about this guy. So interesting enough around this. So San Jose was in there, like I said this earlier around the Edmonton situation when we started today. They were in there a lot earlier. It was already mentioned to Nurse. And I love, Pavel, I don't know, you can give your thoughts on what you thought of Nurse's comments when he actually came on and talked about stuff. Maybe let's even take a few minutes and dissect a little bit of a few of his comments. But my piece is how he had everybody he was talking to were like, yes, San Jose, that would be a team to pick for you, Darnell.
Yeah, his media conference was kind of interesting because, you know, it's never easy to uplift your life and move. And I know he wanted to go east because he has some family there. His grandparents are from that region. So, you know, being closer to family, he's got 2 young kids. It's tough to move. It seems like he had some difficult conversations with management post playoffs in the last few years. And I think that's what really started this process. And I really do believe that for everything that Darnell Nurse is, I think the struggle is that Oilers fan had a hard time with his 9.25 cap salary. If he was a little bit less, there wouldn't be as much problems. I mean, he's a healthy guy. He's only missed a handful of games over the last few years. He's physical. He's big, 6'4". He can move the puck. But there are moments here where he also struggled, and he did not have a good postseason even this year or last year. And so I wonder, you know, when people talked about, well, we brought in Murphy to stabilize Nurse, we brought in this player to help him. That's not really validating you as a top 4 defenseman. But I do think this is a good fresh start for him, and he's going to be a good protector and veteran leader for the San Jose Sharks, including Celebrini and some of the other kids coming in. Stenberg, I mean, that's going to be great to learn from Nurse for Stenberg to be like, oh, this is how you play. This is how I navigate the waters and how to deal with all of this, right? And of course, San Jose is a little quieter of a market in terms of media presence. So I think that will be good for both of them. But props for getting rid of the full contract. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey. So what one of the things I think that people got to catch is they need to also be a cap floor. They have a lot of money. And I know you guys are worried about the length of some of these contracts. Some of you San Jose Shark fans, and I know quite a few. We also have connections. So Max has been on our show. He was on with us last year. I talked. You guys know Shang. And talking with them, and they've been really good media guys and representation down there around San Jose team. But I'm telling you guys, these contracts mean nothing for them. And I know I just put it up until you had mentioned this earlier on that Nurse's deal is almost normal now too, which is actually true. So Nurse is, and can we just put the bias of Oilers fans or people who hate the Oilers aside for a minute? They act like Nurse can't even make a third line. It's like if you're going to be professional about your analysis. You're a fan, so you're allowed to say whatever you want. But I can't take you serious, and most people can't take you serious if you overreact to this stuff. He's not a 9.25 in last season's team. Going into this year, if he was on the UFA market, he would have gotten between 8 and 9 million in a bidding war. But they weren't going to take it because most teams don't have that much on cap, and he wasn't open to a bunch of teams. I was told that there were 7 different calls. 7 calls from teams he hadn't even been talked about but they didn't even look at those teams or even get into conversations because he would have to open it up around it. So now there has been some people that so I'll throw them out there. So Drew Livingston, hey, I love you, man, and you're out on X, and I know you were having fun, a little bit of clickbait, buddy, but you were out there talking about, so he was talking about the amount of money that Makar and Devon Toews are making now with Trouba. So if you guys don't know, Jacob Trouba also signed an enormous contract which I do think that one was a big overpay, probably by about $3 million. They're not worried about the timing again on it. So this is what I wanted to mention earlier, Pawel, is I think people need to get serious here and understand the cap is in relation, and we talked about this last year and the year before. Every year we seem to have to talk to people about this. It's the percentage of cap. Percentage of cap. So I did a number. I'm just pulling up my numbers here for you guys. Okay? So if you took Devon Toews, because this is what Drew was doing, Makar and Devon Toews for percentage of salary used, at the time, the percentage was when they signed, okay? That's the same year they signed. It would be 11.04, that's for Makar, and 8.24 for Devon Toews. That would mean they took up 19.28% of the salary cap for that team in their signings. That's almost 20%. Now, combined, because taking Nurse, they chose to take the salary at this cap level. Nurse comes in at 8.89%, and Trouba comes in at 7.93, which brings them at 16.82 of this coming season's salary cap. So not even close to be able to, and then that's not even taking into consideration this coming season. By the way, Makar's probably going to make anywhere between 17 and 18 million dollars next year. That's my guess that he's going to come in. He's the richest player in the NHL history.
That's fair, and I think they did well to get some of that cap space, and they had that cap relief. And Bowman also went out and did a bunch of bottom pairing signings and a bottom 6 guys. So he re-signs Kasperi Kapanen to another deal. For $3.6 million, Matthew Joseph for $1 million, taking a risk at Edwards trial marks, which I don't know much about. And then, of course, they replaced Nurse with Ryan Shen from Pittsburgh, who had a plus 30 last year with Pittsburgh. and had a really good year. So you're replacing him essentially there in that top four with Connor Murphy, right? So your top pairing is Ekholm and Bouchard, and then of course you've got Ryan Shen and Connor Murphy, and then your bottom guy Ty Emerson most likely, and then whoever else, whether it's Stasny or someone else. So it'll be interesting to see. I do like what the Edmonton did. I think what was interesting is having a 3 goalie rotation. What are your thoughts on Freddie Anderson coming in? Because I always liked him when he was in Toronto, although he really did struggle and injury did plague him. He's a Stanley Cup champion, and they pick up Devin Levi from Buffalo.
Yeah. Let me just say this, because I know we were at San Jose, because I know we jumped over here.
We'll jump over to San Jose next.
Yeah, sorry. I did just a quick moment. So Harmonov got drafted. That was the defenseman that Zill has talked about on our show and mentioned before. That 7'1" defenseman, draft eligible this first year, and they picked him up. 7'1", guys, the tallest draft pick in history. A big, massive, a little bit slow. So Zill, I've seen video now already, and yeah, I think we're probably talking about a 4-year project, probably going into this, but good for them. Being back in junior, though, and then I think they're going to try and get Harmonov into the NCAA if they can find someone willing to take. But coming back over there, by the way, it's Shea, not Shen. I know that, again, that's cool. But yeah, so because Pittsburgh's another team that I spend a lot of time, because I like a lot of the players. And so I spent a lot of time watching, and I was actually rather shocked. I didn't even pay attention that they were available as a UFA, and they were going to get paid. One of the best PK defensemen that's out there in all his metrics and analytics. And what I find interesting is, like the attitude or the cockiness or the way he treats players with Babcock in his past, his X's and O's are the best in the game. He's basically told Draisaitl and McDavid, I'm going to call you out and I'm going to bench you if you don't play the game that I'm telling you to play. Which they're saying, yeah, fine, absolutely, do it. And that whole defense is going to play different. Now, I will say this. Shea plays a game that was more defensive already. Murphy, they brought back more defensive. I like the way it is, but Ryan Shea can actually get that puck up quick still. So I think that you're going to see Ekholm, I think, actually be a little bit more puck moving, because now with Nurse gone, I think you're going to find that. But also, Evan Bouchard will not be on the PK, even though actually he was really good with it. Now, Devin Levi, I want to give a little background on the goaltending. Devin Levi is an athletic goalie. He's only 6 feet, but can I just say that at 6 feet, I know Zill was sending me stuff. So at 6 feet, Devin Levi has had 3 great seasons in the AHL. There's been some things messed around. I am not happy with what I see in Buffalo with their goaltending. They have good goaltending that gets messed around. They're just not good in how they work the system and the development. But they've had some incredible goaltenders. And so they end up moving on and going to other places. I mean, even if you look at Allmark, right? That's where he came from before he actually went over to Boston and over to Ottawa. But Devin Levi plays the game that will match the Oilers' style of play. So all that lateral movement, his reads are incredible. So, but he doesn't believe in blocking. So if you haven't had a chance, go online, look for some of the different feeds. You can probably go to EdmontonOilers.com, listen to some of his things. You can check out the Bob Stauffer show, by the way, on Ched 880. There was some stuff that was just released yesterday too around it with some of his interpretation of his game. But hey, dude, Jari's going to have a push. They might bury about $1.5 million, $2 million in the minors if Jari doesn't come out strong, because they're not going to put him on waivers for Levi. And Frederik Andersen, that $1 million, and then only $1.5 million or $1.8 million. I mean, Anderson had more opportunities, I was told, like higher dollars. That this was not about that. This was about another chance to be back in the cup and actually be the goalie. I think that this is like a heroic want to do it and believes they can do it. And he's only going to have to play 35 games probably in the regular season. I think you're going to find probably Levi, they're hoping to get 10, 15 games in, and then Jari maybe the rest of those games in between, or maybe even Levi 20 games and move around with it. So I'm actually thinking that this is a good deal.
Yeah. And I think Zilzer says it's going to be interesting to see how Sebastian Cossa does in Utah as a backup. Yeah, they trade for him and signed him for a 2-year deal. And then JJ Oilers says, for my top 6 question, what do you think regarding the Oilers? So before we move on to San Jose, what are your thoughts on the top 6? Because they do have room to play around for one more maybe. And Jordan says maybe they should just sign Evan Renaerts or Aaron Singleton to play net. Only if they have a beard.
Zilzer sent me a text saying, Evan, are you applying for the e-bug goalie? So you know what? I'll leave that to Aaron. Aaron can go play net because Aaron's a little younger. And I've actually officially retired.
Hey, if Bob believes in himself playing in Toronto, you believe that you can be an e-bag.
Hey, can we just take a moment? I need to go back out and make an apology to some fans that are down in Carolina. So first of all, congratulations specifically from me. I don't know if I said that enough. And I want to go on and publicly tell people I was wrong. I didn't do the work. I showed a bit of ignorance on my post that I did on X. And I said I would publicly, if you're watching the show tonight, anyone of you Carolina Hurricane fans, don't know if you're here or not. But I actually told them, I said that outside of the arena, this is some of my words. You can go check my post if you want to go find them out. But I said outside the arena, there's not really a lot of fans. Apparently, I got people after me. Oh, you're ignorant. You're fool. You're a clown. You have no idea. And they were fans of the game. And they go, if you spend some time and go search and see, you can know. Don't you know it's on NHL Network and on Disney Plus and or whatever. I don't even know what channels they were referring. Oh, ESPN through Disney. And then I explained to them, listen, first of all, you don't have to call me a clown and a fool. But listen, why don't you give me the information? Educate me. And they kept wanting to say all this stuff. Why don't I do it? Well, apparently I spend a lot of time doing other things. And I can't follow every single team. So right now I follow approximately 250 teams around the world. But I guess he thinks I have the time. However, I do want to apologize to all you Carolina Hurricane fans. I made a public announcement on my X post and in some of those feeds. There was, and this is incredible. And I don't know if you know that. And so Canadian fans, we have a lot of Canadians here and people in Europe and people outside of the state of North Carolina. Even though they're called Carolina, it's North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, and 120,000 plus fans at the Stanley Cup parade is what the report came back. It was massive. And they said there was only around 8,000 or 10,000 when they last won the cup for their big parade. So hats off to you guys. I publicly have gone back and said changes. And can I tell all you, if you're following, follow us. You can follow my buddy Pawel the Cat, hockey_2. You can follow me at Renaerts. But hey, if we made a mistake, call us out on it. And let us know. I don't mind that at all. So what was that?
I don't know. Zilcher says probably 20,000 fans never go into arena. They just stay in parking lot tailgating. I mean, it is it's a kind of a style tradition thing. All right, because we're running short on time and I wanted to get through a few things. So JJ, answer his question. Who's the best fit for top 6 for Edmonton? Is it DeBrincat, Batherson, McCann, Tippett, Marchenko, DeBrusk, Forsberg, maybe even Sid? Don't hold your breath. LOL. Probably for Sid. Quick thoughts.
None.
Okay.
So they
Isaac Howard is his next step.
Yeah, McCann is not top 6. Some of those players mentioned. I'm sorry, JJ. I'm not putting down anything that you're saying here. But none those. So let's just say there is negotiations going on right now with Claude Giroux. There is negotiations. It's being hinted a lot. He wants to be East. He wants the right numbers. There's talk in Philly. Could they kind of find a way for him to wrap up his career there? I do know that is in process right now. But it is possible. Giroux wants a cup. And could he get his cup if he came to Edmonton? He is also a high percentage faceoff winner, right-hand shot. He can play center. He can play wing. So he could fill in depending what happens. He can PK. He can power play. And he is a grappler. I don't know if they'll be able to get him because he really wants to be in the East. But don't think that they're out of Mantha. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, they're not going to pay the price, though.
He's looking for the bank after a good season with Pittsburgh. Yeah.
So he has to weigh out, does he want the money or is he willing to bet on himself a 1 or a 2-year contract with Edmonton at a discount of $2 or $3 million? And one other player, keep your eyes on. He'd like to stay where he is in Detroit, but Patty Kane, that could be another potential player, because you are talking about a right wing, which could fit perfectly with Leon Draisaitl and Podkolzin. So that could be a potential place, JJ, looking around it. So those are really the only two. And if not, in my opinion, if you can't get Mantha, if you can't get Giroux, or you can't get Patty Kane, I think that you just go with what you got, and you're going to have like something like $13 or $14 million player or worth of players you can bring at the trade deadline.
Right. So quickly, two things before we wrap up here. So with the San Jose Sharks, they re-signed some of the players you indicated, including Trouba. Ivar Sterberg has now signed his entry-level contract, so it looks like he's being willing to play. They also re-signed Michael Kesselring to a $4.5 million extension AAV with a $13.5 million total. He was with Buffalo last season. He was drafted by the Oilers, but didn't want to extend here. He's been really good so far. Your thoughts on the Sharks and what they're going to bring, because they have Trouba now. They have some of these young prospects. And, of course, next year is the Celebrini question. But your quick thoughts on San Jose and what they do moving forward with Mike Greer.
Yeah, so right now, these when you're talking about those three guys, they let Ferraro go. I understand. Where did Ferraro go again? It's off the tip of my tongue.
So did he go to Winnipeg? Winnipeg, I believe.
Winnipeg, yeah. Great landing spot for him. I think that's a good place. So just a heads up for when we're talking about kind of what they're doing. These guys that they signed, even Kesselring. Like Kesselring's more of a solid. They're looking at keeping him, right. He'll be on that second line. They'll keep. I think he's a third line pairing still on a cup team. They're not quite there. These guys are holding spots. They need big, tough people. They need to protect. They need a guy like Nurse to be around for Celebrini, along with the forwards, right? Because you don't just need forwards. You need defensemen that are big and tough. And Nurse will lay it down. He'll fight for him. And Nurse can keep up. He's got speed. He can be there with those boys. Trouba is going to get, like him or not, I think he's a dirty player, but he can hit. We know, we've had discussions around that. And then Kesselring is solid. So you got to remember, they got Sam Dickinson. I see Sam Dickinson probably playing with Kesselring on that second line, and Trouba and Nurse playing probably on their top line, or mixed between those things. And Keaton Bearhoff, wonderful pickup. And Ryan Lynn, late draft, and we will have to go a little bit over, because I do want to give you 3-4 minutes just of an update on the draft here today. So get ready for a little overtime here, guys. If you need to drop off, guys, it's been a great season. We'll see you next year. For those sticking around for
people to leave when the best part is coming up.
No. I'm just telling if people want to leave. I didn't say that they have to go. I just wanted to say goodbye if they're running off on us. But Keaton Bearhoff, you're probably looking at least another 2 years playing in NCAA. I think he's going to go the full 3 years before he comes in. They want to give this guy time to really develop and not rush this. But they're definitely a playoff team. They were so close this year. So I like the development, and I think Stenberg makes the team out of camp. He's going to put a big run against him and to start off next year. Our first show, we got to talk about the rookie race, because there's players that can carry over from last year. I didn't even have time to get into that, man.
Yeah. All right. And quickly to just note, we saw an offer sheet. Now, it wasn't a big player, and I know that there's still discussions about potentially more, but the New Jersey Devils have put an offer sheet for Baron Hayden. He's a center out of Utah. We talked a little bit about Utah earlier, but it's for a 1-year, $4.775 million contract. And if the Mammoth, they have, I think, till end of this weekend to offer it or to counter it. If they don't, they're going to be given some picks. I believe it's the second round pick, but the guy is 26. He's a second line center, 10 goals and 15 assists in 67 games this year. He was a 5th overall pick by the Arizona Coyotes. They have 7 days to match it. Your thoughts on this and what New Jersey's doing, because they also re-signed Nico Hischier, their captain, for another, I believe it's 4 years at $11.7 million. Your thoughts on New Jersey? And
okay, a couple quick. You mentioned another piece that we don't even have time to get into. So with this deal, I mean, this is some smart bit of work by their GM, and the reason is because this runs a right. Yeah, Sonny. because what happens is Sonny runs this contract right to the end of 1 year to his UFA year, and they don't want it. So what I'm hearing is it is not going to happen. They're not going to match it, and they're going to let him go because it's going to affect them, and then they're probably going to be forced up into some bigger numbers. Utah, they have a structure. They'll spend the money, but they're also not happy that he would sign such a contract that would lock them into place, which isn't very friendly as a team. And frankly, if I got a player going off to other places and using that as negotiating, it's not just business. You're actually going to hurt the team that you actually want to sign with. So I think that they got enough good players to be able to move it. And can I just say this? Nico Hischier, what a wonderful career. He's done so well. He's right now in the prime. I want you guys to think about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins just quickly. And the reason I say this is I just went and done a career statistics. So Ryan's got about 300-400 games more in his belt. And right now they're almost neck and neck in points per game. People don't recognize this. They're both first overall picks. But Nico Hischier gets all this credit, and poor Ryan, behind these superstars and other players, has gone on and even had over 100-point season once. Chances are he'll probably drop. There's probably only going to be a 0.25 difference in their points per game at the end of Nico Hischier and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' career. So I'm hoping Hischier, ultimate team guy, I hope that this guy actually is a New Jersey Devil for life. I hope that they can do that because he's.
Can I make a bold prediction?
Yeah.
I don't think the New Jersey Devil make the playoffs, barring any wild trade. I don't think they make the postseason with their current lineup.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. And one more note before we jump over to two final big signings that we just wanted to allude to, and then we'll get to your prospects / draft picks. Stuart Skinner re-signs with the Winnipeg Jets. I know there's been a lot of rumblings about Connor Hellebuck, but good for Stuart Skinner. He's only 27, and they're betting on his experience, including in the postseason, that he's going to be able to bounce back. It's a 2-year agreement, I believe. Good for them. And then, of course, the former captain of the New York Islanders, Anders Lee, looks like they could not find an agreement in Ireland, and he is off to play with the Utah. Good pickup for the Utah. I like what Utah has done, and I think Utah is my 4th team in the postseason. We'll get to that in the new year, but I really like what Utah has done. Quick thoughts there before we move over to your prospects.
Yeah, no, I like some of these moves. I think I don't know if we have the comments. I saw Zill, you had put up there and just said you like a lot of these moves. They're going to help a lot of the teams. We started the show here today. Totally agree. I think that this is the most movement we've ever saw with trades, actually hockey trades, because of the way the cap is.
It was 167 moves in the last day or so.
That is actually amazing, and that makes the hockey world exciting and new. But it seems the parity of teams is really closing in. And let me just say this: I don't care who the team is. If you can win 1 year or even be competitive and even make it to a Stanley Cup final, man, you are one of the best teams in the entire world. I mean, you got to give enough of this. We don't got 6 teams or 12 or even 21 teams anymore, or even 28. Yeah. We have 30.
We didn't even get to expansion, what that's going on with Austin, but yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Well, we did talk about last week a couple of the options, I know, last Wednesday.
And just for people to know, the Utah also picked up Vincent Trocheck. So that sought-out center that Minnesota was going after. He's another guy that is bigged up. So good for the Rangers who are rebuilding or retooling on the fly, but also them. All right, let's get to your prospects because there's quite a bit to cover, and then we're going to wrap up here.
All right. Do you want to move it over here? Just quickly, guys, we won't worry about going to my Revs Top 15. We're in overtime, so I'll be really quick around it. If you can throw up the banner, make the change, just to throw guys. So, guys, I want you to remember every year we do a Revs Top 15. We have a new website that's going to be going up this summer, making a whole bunch of changes. It's going to be very interactive, a lot more around blogging and writing and so forth. My Revs Top 15 is career projection. And so when you see the numbers, I have them in place. So I'm going to let you know in the next couple weeks, I hope to have everything updated. You can go to our site. You can see all the stuff that's there and posted around it. So with the draft of my top 15, so how many do you think of my top 15 actually were picked in the top 15?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, what would be my guess? What do you think I got out of 15?
80%.
So I hit 12 of 15 this year. I have never had 10 was my worst year. 11 I did once or twice, and most other times I've had 12 or 13 out of 15. And guys, I'm not saying this current year. So obviously, the percentages have been well. And
That's
even
what I said, 80%.
was that 80? Oh, you did the
Yeah.
numbers. Yeah, it's a good job. Yeah, generally it's always between 75 and 85 is what I'm able to hit on. But
Nice.
generally, I'm not trying to hit on who actually gets selected, but it tells you that it's pretty unanimous. And if I can remind people, when you're drafting the top 15, and the reason I did a 15 is because once you get past 15, the odds change of these players making the NHL. And so the actual number of these players of the top 15 that I show, you're probably only looking at 9 or 10 having a career of at least 300 or more NHL games. And then you're only looking at about 3 to 4 becoming superstars of those players. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So the draft was crazy for trades. It was all over the place. You jumped on there live. And can I tell you, next year we will be doing another live draft. I know, again, I had a lot of mistakes. Over 400, some of you guys came on live. Like right now, every week you guys jump on. We have like over 100 of you right now live listening to the broadcast in our overtime right now. And I just want to say thank you for following and pay attention. Check my posts. Check our website when the updates come, because I'm going to be posting my really, really, really early 2027 NHL entry draft predictions of my top 15. I've already got my top 10 locked up. I'm working on the other 5. And players that, again, if you've been listening to us for the last 3 years, you always know we're talking about usually at least 3 or 4 of the players you're going to hear at that draft. So anyway, that was it around the draft. So again, thank you guys for catching that. Well, my last thought will be a hockey history to go out with. What's your last thought?
It's been super fun. It's been a joyous season. Lots of highs and lows. Lots of exciting storylines. Some interesting, some wild, some off the cuff. But I have not had a bad time with you as my co-host here on the side, correcting me, fixing my errors, and being there to support me throughout the year. So I appreciate it. It's been fun. And to all the people tuning in, it's been a treat sharing and talking all things hockey. So let's get into hockey history.
All right, listen. Excuse me. All right, guys, listen here. Kat, it's time. I'm going to wrap up with an absolute monster of a season by pulling down the winter shades, going old school, and I'm going to throw in a reverse for some hockey history, okay? Because we spend all year, this is what I feel. I feel like we spend all year grinding and bleeding and fighting just to get our names carved into the hockey grail of sports, and that's called the Stanley Cup. We see players all the way. When I say us, that's because we all live in the players' minds. That's why we're so invested all the time. But the Stanley Cup is the most sacred, respected trophy on the planet. But historically, once NHL players actually win this darn thing, they treat it like an absolute piece of rented lawn furniture. If you think about the guys partying with it today, they're wild. The old school boys were a completely different level. I'm going to take you guys back, way back, before I was born, before you guys were born, in 1924. The Montreal Canadiens, the Habitants, win the championship, and they're driving over to the team owner's house for this epic, they call it a victory party that they would do. And they're rolling down the road in a Model T Ford. Boom! The tire blows. So the players hop out to change the flat. And so they get it out of the way. They take the Stanley Cup out of the car and they place it right on the shoulder of the road, face down in a snowbank. Okay. Now, sports history. Interesting, eh? They finish fixing the tire, wipe the grease off their hands, pile back into the car, and they speed away to the party. They arrive at the house. You know, they got their music, drinks are being poured, and they go to pour their first celebratory round. when the owner's wife looks around and says, "Hey, where's the cup?" Pure panic. You got to see that. Jumps in. The roster, just like, what? This roster of players, they go back to the car and they drive back across town. And I kid you not, it was 1 hour later, they find the most famous trophy. Remember, this is when it wasn't wild in sports history, sitting completely abandoned on the side of a snowy Montreal road. One touch, still on the curb. And so anyway, by the way, if you think that's disrespectful, if you even go back further in 1906, the Montreal Wanderers, even going back further, when they won it, they took a bunch of team photos and accidentally left it behind at the photographer's house for weeks. Nobody knew. They didn't even know who was going to come back and claim it. There wasn't phones and so forth. Lord Stanley's mug was literally a flower pot in a basement for a month. Talk about hockey history, man. So next time, guys, that you see a guy taking it on a jet ski or using it for a cereal bowl or putting a kid in and a baby, just remember the cup has been pooped in, it's been peed in, it's been lost in the snowbank, and it's been filled with dirt. But that is the magic of hockey history, folks. Off season is dead. The stories are locked in. And the truth is, we're going to see you next season in season 8 for episode 1 right after the September long weekend. So, Pawel, take us home.
All right, that was wonderful hockey history, some very insightful and graphic imaging. But thanks again, guys, for a wonderful season, for all the highs and lows, for all the people who are tuning in wherever you are around the world. We appreciate your support, your likes. It's been fun. Thank you, Zylstra, for always being there every episode. To all our fans, the people that reach out to us offline and share with us, to all the guests this past season, we thank you so much for taking the time, for coming on and sharing your experiences, thoughts, and insights in the game of hockey, for Around the Rink, for Hockey History with Evan, and once myself, and a few others. As Evan says, it's Two Guys Nation. Maybe we'll get that to trend. We look forward to another great season 8 with maybe fewer hiccups and more hoorays. Pretty much that's it on my end. Zylstra says, hell yeah. I don't think there's much else to say. Enjoy your summer, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, have fun, spend time with your family. And if you really are bored, go back and watch our episodes on our YouTube. We appreciate it, and we'd love to have you. That's it. Evan?
I'm with you. I'm speechless. And just a reminder, anyone watching the end of the show every year, so next year, I know we have Flow Hockey back with us. We have Puckpedia back with us. And Pro Hockey Group. Those are the 3 key elements that will be back. We're still working. If you're out there and you want to connect with us and partner and or sponsor, work with us, we'd love to have you. But can I just say this? We are not doing any live episodes all summer. We will be back after the Labor Day weekend in Canada of September. We will be back with you that first Wednesday following the Labor Day weekend. However, we are still on our social media. We may not be as busy at different times. Check out @hockey_2 or @RevenF. But in the famous words, as we say all year, of the famous Ed Whalen, it's been a dinky dink time. But in the meantime, in between time, my buddy,
keep your sticks on the ice. Stay safe. Have fun. We love you all. Cheers.